First things, let's send prayers and light and cooling, calm energies to all of Southern California and the people that are trying to escape the fires, the firefighters, the first responders, civil servants, people in leadership, anybody that is helping to manage these and get them out. Send prayers and cooling, soft energy for everybody to make the best possible decisions for them, their family, for the city, for whatever they're doing. It's a horrible, horrible thing, and hopefully these winds will die down and they can get a handle on it. Hi, y'all. This is ArtsyWisdom. My name's Diane. Thank you for coming by. Cheers to you. Hope you're doing well. It's just coffee, by the way. Yeah, I got a new espresso machine for Christmas. I'm very excited about it. I love it. Less acid than brewed coffee. First of all, I'm going to do some politics stuff, like always, and kind of get into some really positive ways to deal with it. I learned some things in the last couple of days. Like you, I get overwhelmed with a lot of the news and all the noise coming at me. And so I wanted to share with you a couple thoughts and ideas and see if they help you. Also, thank you for all your lovely comments about Abby and her ACL being torn. I'm going to another vet tomorrow to get a second opinion to see if it's a partial or a full tearing. And I don't know. I'm still debating on the surgery. Otherwise, she doesn't seem to be in pain, but I don't want to make her life uncomfortable, you know. But she's my baby, my fur baby. So today I'm going to look to see if Trump will get sentenced on the 10th. He's trying really hard not to get. If those Jack Smith will actually be able to release the documents from the case or the report. The federal judge, Eileen Cannon, that Trump put in office, has said, no, put the kibosh on it for now, temporary. So I looked into that. And also the crazy press conference with the Panama Canal and possibly taking Greenland by force, or he's not putting it, making that a non-negotiable, but he's saying maybe. And then the Gulf of America or Mexico. This man is degrading. He's deteriorating over time. And I'll tell you what images, you guys, some of you know, I already use desserts and things, and his cake is broken, but I'm going to tell you what else I see with him. Also that rally. I got some more thoughts on that and more images, and again, some positive things that I hope to inspire you with or to help you maneuver, negotiate, travel, traverse, whatever those things are, as we go through these probably chaotic times ahead. Okay, let's get started. As I'm beginning this, I realized I forgot to mention Trudeau resigned the other day, or he's resigning today officially. But yeah, it's a kind of a little teeter-totter of a time up in Canada because the Conservative Party feels like they've got all the impetus, or they've got the momentum in their favor. And I know the Liberal Party is going to pick somebody new, and they will take his place for now, and then they will have an election. I think the Conservative Party wants to hurry up and have an election because they know they have more, like I said, momentum. In the past, I've seen Trudeau leaving, and I thought I saw him leaving last year. So it's not surprising. He was ready to be gone. And he's already got plans in the works. Tours or speaking engagements or books. I feel like there's a book. Several books. But some of the reasons I think his, is it the finance minister, Christia, put her name here. God, I want to say. Anyway, I'll put it here. She got mad and quit and I think it was personal for him. He was really offended or hurt by that because they've been together in these positions for several years. So I think that really did a number on him. Plus the whole Trump future, the administration and its relationship to Canada. So when I think of the relationship, or Canada's going to be it's not going to be the 51st state. Actually, Canada's actually tougher than we give them credit for, because they're a very polite country and they're very thoughtful and realistic government. But they're not going to be pushovers. They just won't. So I don't know what he's thinking. I think he thinks that he can do that. Somebody was joking. One of the premiers from one of the provinces said, okay, yeah, we'll take California, Washington, Oregon. We'll take that side if you want. Give it to us. Or they said, why don't we make it I don't know how many provinces there are, 12 or something. We'll make it the 13th or 14th province. You guys can be that. And they can just attach themselves to Alaska, because Alaska's right there. So it's funny. I don't think that's going to go down easily. It's just noise. Like I said earlier, they're making a lot of noise. And so I don't think anything's going to happen with that. And as for his talking about Greenland, it's a non-starter. The one bad thing that will come of it, I saw Don Jr. on a plane. They had a video of him going to Greenland. Oh my gosh, it's so creepy and weird. They're just weird and odd. And there's such a self-righteous air about them. The Trumps and the staff around, it's just, and I think that's what's so baffling or scary too, because they really do believe that they deserve any and all of this stuff that they decide they want to have. And give it to Trump. He's a manifester for sure. He makes things happen. But, is that weird? No, it's not going to happen. There's nothing going to happen there. And Europe's going to get really frustrated, and that's going to cause a lot of relationship issues with all of those countries. Even our good allies like France and England and Germany and, and the Scandinavian countries too. I don't know. Nothing. Don't worry. That's not going anywhere. Panama Canal is going to be a bigger fight. He's going to try somehow, some way to make this treaty change that Carter put in, that they agreed to, that Panama, we get paid for us to use it. And so he's going to do something eventually, something about blocking or limiting or saying we're not going to do this, just to put the pressure on him. I think they'll renegotiate the treaty, but it'll ultimately go back to Panama. We won't have it. It'll go back to them, but they'll negotiate it somehow, some way. It's just going to cause more chaos. The crazy. Yeah, I'm going to get into all these little things, and then we'll talk about that, the chaos and the crazy. June 10th is the sentencing, and Trump really doesn't want to have that happen, and I think it's actually going to happen. Judge Merchan, the lovely dark chocolate judge that I love, who's very stern and law-abiding, I think he's actually going to sentence him, and we'll have no teeth in it, but he will. But so it's going to fulfill the process, because he was found guilty, and now he's going to be sentenced, and it's going to be all wrapped up in a little bow and say, here you go, here's your felon, people. And he was sentenced to that. But there won't be anything he'll have to do, because he'll be president. I believe that won't ultimately matter, but he doesn't want the optics, the look of it to happen. Panama, Greenland, and June 10th. And the documents. Jack Smith releasing the documents. When I close my eyes and I get into that energy, I saw Trump's team want to take them and burn them and dig them a hole in the ground and bury them. That's what they're ready to do. So they are doing everything they can. And I really don't think they're going to get released anytime soon. I think it's a possibility down the road, when we get to a new Congress in a couple of years, when we have a majority, the Democratic Party or non-Republican Party, whatever that is, or non-MAGA, because I don't think of Trump as a Republican. I think of him as a MAGA person, which conservative Republicans aren't bad people. They just want limited government, but they've been perverted and converted, and it's a mess. But my point is, at that point, they might release the report, because then we'll have the ability, the committee power to have that happen. But by then, he won't be in office, or he'll be so deteriorated, he will be incapacitated. All right. I think he may actually rename something. I don't know if it's really windy here today, and I forgot about this. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's super windy here, and those California wildfires, it's so scary. We lived in California for a couple of years in LA, south of LA, and everything is very tight, and the roads are tight, and the ocean, it's landlocked on one side, so I can't imagine those people racing to leave. It reminded me of the vibe of the Maui wildfire, where it moves so quickly because of the winds. I know they're going to work nonstop to get it settled, but it's just so very scary, and my heart goes out to them. And if you guys feel inclined to, please send a prayer out to the firefighters, the first responders, the people that are managing this, and the people that are escaping, and that they may get it under control. And everybody stays as safe as possible, and those that are in harm's way, leave. And my point is that I started to see outside, it's very windy here. So in Arizona, that's where I'm at. We're getting all the winds too, so it's very windy on the West Coast. All right, and I think that was it. The other thing I wanted to tell you, somebody asked a couple questions. Long COVID. Somebody asked, who asked me, do I think that maybe Trump's health, his poor health, because he's got several things going on. It's the deterioration of his brain and his physical health. And this president's job is so heavy and hard. You've seen presidents that age so dramatically in office. He can compartmentalize, and because of his dementia or Alzheimer's, is kind of keeping him in denial a little bit. He's good about being in denial, or he just ignores things. So that in a way helps him not get as stressed, because he's going to be leaving conversations in his head. I can sense that he, like I've said many times, he's not tracking. He has moments of clarity and then he gets lost. Moments of clarity and then he gets lost. Like the speech the other day, or the press conference at Mar-a-Lago, that crazy press conference. Eventually, I think somebody was asking him questions, and I forget what it was. But he pulled somebody in to answer the question, because I think he couldn't answer it in a way that didn't make him look foolish. So he brought this other person in, and that was going to continue. They're going to keep doing that. He may start a press conference, but he's going to have all these people finish up these different subjects or different heavy-duty questions, because he won't be able to bring the thoughts together and be cohesive. All he can do is rant and be negative and yada, yada, yada. I did see his cake broken. And I'll show you a picture. It's worse. It's flattening. In the past, I've seen it melting. Now it's flattening, like it's almost disappearing into the floor. So I think he's really going south. And I know many of you are afraid of Vance, which of course many of us are as well. But right now we're just taking one day at a time. And I'll get to that later about how to manage all of this. Now, when I did ask to these angels about why or what are we supposed to learn? And in the past video, I talked about them kind of keeping things going slow, so he can, I don't want to say make people feel pain, but his karma in this world is to put this forceful energy into the ground, into people, and to really force them to see it's part of karma, his karma and the collective karma. It's about greed and power, and he's part of that karmic debt that we have in this country. Not that we're all the same, but it's collective energy of the United States or the world about highlighting power and greed over community and love for each other, compassion, empathy, care for our earth, etc., etc. Not everybody's the same, of course, but he's a what do you call the mascot or the spearheader of this particular karmic debt. It sucks, I know. But when I listened to, so I'm going to tell you about this woman that I saw, Politics Girl. She has a podcast and she has a YouTube channel. She's amazing. I listened to her, and she had Heather Cox Richardson, who's a historian and professor in politics. And she was really interesting because I was feeling pretty feeling dread-filled because of what may happen in the future. And when I asked my angels too, on a side note, they said the fear or that dread is only a part of what you don't know. So by staying in the present and living in what we know to be true, which is God's love, our own personal light, our own personal being, and we're never alone, and staying in that place, like when you have a meditation and you come back to your breathing, your mind goes over, and then you bring back your mind to your breathing, and then goes back to your breathing. That's the same thing, coming back to your heart in the knowing that you are safe where you are right now. Nothing is happening to you right now. You get back into your senses, and you feel everything. You feel your hands, you smell, you hear. I'm like, okay, I'm here right now. Everything is fine. Not getting into the future, anxiety driven, all kinds of extrapolations about, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because this heart, this feeling, this sensation, this knowing where God lives within us is where our peace of mind is. I should say peace of mind, peace of heart is, because once you have peace of heart, then your mind gets rested. So then our nervous system relaxes and we can breathe. But it takes effort and it takes time and it takes patience. But just know we are all surrounded by the loving light of angels and ancestors. They are communicating nonstop to all of us, each one of us. And I would say bring your friends that you can trust and love, and not to vent and go, oh my gosh, this is the end of times, but just to talk about things other than politics. Focus on things that your day-to-day life. Maybe you get a new espresso machine, or you want to bake something, or you want to talk about a recipe, or you want to work on a wood project in the garage, or build something like our bed ramp that we built for Abby so she could climb up on the bed easier. It's really difficult to bring that back, that crazy, that scare, that fear, but bring it back to your heart center. Go to that place where you know that you're safe and calm. Not up here, but in here. And that's the knowing that you always have with you. That is always there. Now, the one thing I wanted to talk about is, sometimes I'm giving predictions on here, obviously. A lot of times I get into energies or channel people and see what they're feeling at the time. That's how I know Trump is losing it. And that's how I know Jack Smith has the hero's heart, the hero's goal. And that's how I know Judge Mershon is doing everything by the law. And he isn't swayed. He has to think about politics, but he also does things by the law. I get into people's energies, and I get their motivations and how they feel in the moment. Sometimes it changes, but that's how I'm feeling. So it's easy to get pulled out of that and imagine these people doing horrible things. But what I'm going to suggest is that for you to not assume, like I'm going to tell you, I'll go back to this Heather Cox Richardson. She gave lots of examples of different times in history where everything seemed to get so out of balance. And that's where we are. It's really out of balance. The pendulum is swinging way to the right because people feel like things have been way to the, I won't say left, but the other direction, to thinking about everything else, and money's being wasted and no food costs or whatever. But she's saying back in the, and I've said this, Industrial Revolution, all the jobs were being lost to machines. And it's very similar to now, where AI technology and computers are just, people are losing jobs. So again, fear. But she also said the news magnates, the giant, like Randolph Hearst and yellow journalism was all, they just controlled the papers. They controlled everything. And so they got the message out that you need to do this because we're, all these bad things are happening and we're the only ones that can save you. Who does that sound like? And, but over time, the people started to get information outside of that, and they realized, no, they're lying to us. People are dying in fires in, sewing garment districts where they're not protecting the workers or whatever it is, and they're getting this information, and then people rise up and they start to take control. And again, that matches up with Pluto and Aquarius, the same of the populace becoming more powerful, caring for one another. What does the group mentality? What is reality right now? Not what they tell you, but what is reality? What do you see around you? Because a lot of times they want to, well, not a lot of times, they lie and they want to just manipulate whatever's happening for their benefit. So she did say, do not assume that things are going to be as bad as we believe they are. She said, yes, there may be things that are going to happen, but we don't know for sure. In fact, 2 days ago, there wasn't a fire in Pacific Palisades, and half of LA is on fire. And that happened. 5 years ago is almost the pandemic. We wouldn't have ever been able to predict that. So my point is that things are going to happen. So we can't look at one thing he says and say, oh, he's going to do A, B, and C. And his mind, Donnie, he can't focus that long. And there's going to be so much infighting, so much chaos, so much disagreement within those very bullheaded, power-mongering, narcissistic people that he's pulled in. All these wealthy billionaire that want to be in charge of different areas, that's going to conflict with each other. And because they have a razor thin margin, they're going to need Democrats and different things over time on these committees or on bills being passed. And she says it's all of the doomsday stuff may not happen. So let's not assume, which I love. We'll take one day at a time. The other thing she mentioned, because the politics girl, and I'm sorry, I'll put her name right here. She's not a girl, she's a lady, a woman, but she's really smart. Anyway, she said, it feels like you either want to run away and hide, stick your head in the sand like an ostrich, or because you can't deal with all the noise coming at you all the time. And I've said this before myself. I freak out, and it's like, I can't. I have to turn off the news. I have to avoid it because it's too much. And the media and politics, it's like they're all merged together. All the medias, the legacy media, the social medias, they're all intertwined. It's like a big cluster of stuff. And they're feeding off each other like parasites. And it goes both ways. So you remember that. So she suggests this, Heather Cox Richardson, you jump in, get the, not that you want to hide, we're not hiding because we want to know what's going on. You jump in, get the minimum information to know what's going on. I don't know if it's once a day, you just read the articles online, or you go to Reuters, or you go to somewhere, AP, wherever it is, and you get the information and you get off. And that's what is the best way to keep your sanity. That's what I'm going to do. Because I haven't been watching Morning Joe anymore. I used to watch it. I can't, not because I'm mad because they went to Mar-a-Lago, but it's just a non-stop beating you over the head with, oh my God, this is going to be bad. And what is he doing here? And what is he doing there? Okay, that's a possibility. But then over time, I find the things sometimes they say don't actually happen. And I'm not saying don't believe Trump, because he does things that he says he's going to do. But he's in an environment where his brain isn't working. They're fighting each other right and left. The chaos, the billionaires, the rich guys all want their way. And it's only a tiny margin of majority in the House and the Senate, and it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of infighting and outside fighting. There'll be protests. There'll be police, and National Guard at some point at different locations doing things. But it's a democracy. I've always said democracy is messy. My Canadian husband, he's like, why? What? I'm like, It's messy. Democracy is just a messy way to have a government because we have three branches, and I know, granted, they all are kind of dominated by Republican energy or Republican people, but we have that, and it's not one, it's not a two, me or you. It's three parties that have to work. So that's why Trump lives in courts, because he's trying to get them to do what he wants. If it was just two, executive branch and Congress, guess what would have happened there? And I know he's gotten his way in the courts, but my point is that don't assume that things are going to be as bad as they are. We're going to take one day at a time. I'm going to do that one day at a time. I'm going to stay in my energy. I'm going to live in the knowing. I'm safe every day. And again, I will get supplies. I will talk to my friends who I trust, and stay out of the chaotic mindset. The thing is he wants to create a reality show. Kind of like, and I said I saw a wrestling match that they, right before the inaugural, and she mentioned wrestling because that McMahon lady, she's going to be overseeing, is it education? Or they want her to, it's like crazy. Or maybe not education. I don't know. Anyway, so maybe that has to do with my mindset. But he was on an old wrestling show one time. He wants it to be a reality TV, and he wants it to be a wrestling show. He wants you to look at all the crazy and the loud and the noise. You don't have to. You don't have to watch that. Go watch a Hallmark movie. Go, check in periodically and see if anything is, changed. But you don't have to do that. Live in your spiritual place. Live in the belief that you are strong, you're creative, you are wise, and you're going to get through this, and you're resourceful, and you are not weak. You are strong. Okay? And if you have to meditate, go out in nature. That works too. Talking to the birds, and I talk to my angels and stuff outside when messages come to me. I just want to make sure. Oh, I know this woman, that Heather Cox Richardson, kind of going backwards a little bit, she mentioned, or the politics girl mentioned, they talked about that CEO that got shot, that Brian Thompson, that the upheaval and the outcry and the support of that guy who did that is it's a big shift. It's a game changer, they were saying, because they realized, again, people versus the big entities, they're fighting back, and they realize how the undercurrent is there's so much anger out there. So there's going to be a shift in a lot of different areas of our life. And okay, so let me get back to here. And then Heather Richardson, she was saying how it's going to get back to a reality. She believes there's more little newspapers coming out, community papers, local papers coming out to give you the news for the local stuff, because a lot of the big conglomerates have eaten those up and there's nothing anymore. So you have to go to those. And she said that's happening, which is very good, because then you're just focused on your local community, not the stuff in Florida or in Guatemala or whatever it is. Not that you don't need to know that, but it's overwhelming, So she said that's actually happening. And a lot of those papers popped up after the big industrial revolution, where I was telling you all the Hearst papers, people started realizing they weren't accurate. Oh yeah, so this was the other thing she said. MAGA people are getting angrier and angrier and fighting each other because they're like, what? Huh? You said you were going to do this. Well, Donnie promised this different things to different groups that he thought would vote for him. So now, yes, he's got to pick one or the other. And now those other groups are angry. And so again, infighting, cracks, water comes in and it rusts. So there you go. Sort of an analogy for an old car, because going back, wants to make America great again. I'm picturing an old Chrysler or something from the 50s. Wants to go back to that time, but it's falling apart and it's pretty rusty. So I can't really fix it. You have to tear it apart again. So they're trying to exhaust us, she said. Yeah, they're trying to exhaust us. And so that's why we tune out all the way. So that's why you don't focus on everything. Just focus on, decide what news source you want to use, or maybe get a couple that you feel are unbiased and stay there. And don't assume everything is just going down in a handbasket. yeah, I think that was it. Oh, she mentioned this, which I found interesting. So these, again, going back to the shooting of the CEO, that politics girl, again, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry. She said that Musk has been carrying around his little son. He's like a father of 11 or 12. And she thought it was because of that. She thought nobody would possibly go after him with a child on his shoulders. I don't know. And somebody was joking about saying Musk isn't leaving Mar-a-Lago and he's paying all that. He's right next door to Trump. And I think that's really bugging Trump. I feel like it's really bugging him. Oh, actually, not as much Trump as these people around him. All of his staff, that it feels like Musk is just dominating him and they don't like it. So anyway, I think that was it. Long COVID. I think I addressed that with Trump. I do feel like that feels right. It's a combination of that and Alzheimer's or dementia, and plus his bad, and just his age. He's 78 years old. On a diet of Diet Coke and Kentucky Fried Chicken or Burger King. You know, it's not good. Anyway. And I also saw this after April. I feel like if I'm looking on the timeline of this year, April feels lighter. By the time we get to April, there's going to be a settling. And maybe because the deportation kind of gets figured out more, or all the big flurry of bills and things that they want to change will get argued, or different things. Or it'll just be the beginning of the break for the summer. But I feel like after April, things are going to settle. I feel like there's a lightness in the summer. It doesn't mean it's all, sparkles and unicorns. But I feel like it'll be let up a little bit. And maybe, like I said, it has to do with the summer break. And people are realizing what we're doing isn't working. And they're fighting too much. And so they come. So just a thought. So that's what I'm going to do. Hope you guys find some help with that. Well, last thing, I just wanted to, I've been thinking for years to do my own tarot card deck or oracle card deck. And because of my history, I have a 12-step adult children of alcoholics, me included, and most of my family. It's saved me. And so I have some of that knowledge. I have the knowledge of subconscious work. And I also, as a hypnotherapist and astrology work, and also tarot cards and just intuitive creative things. So I'm starting the process. I wrote out a bunch of ideas. They've been accumulating on pieces of paper that I stick in an envelope. And so I'll show you. So this is I took an old deck of cards and I'm writing what I'm creating on those. And I know this looks terrible, but I'm just showing you where I'm starting. So I'm going to pull one of these cards, and they're only 52 cards in a deck. And the message for you all, and you can find a message anywhere you want. You can open a book at any time and say, the universe, please, God, spirit, angels around me, give me a message, give me a sign. Help me understand what I need to know. And you can get that message. You just open a book to any page, pull out a card, look outside, notice how you feel when you look at a certain tree, and you'll get the information. You just have to trust it. So just starting there. So let's see. I'm just playing with these very, very rough, just beginnings kind of ideas. Oh, and this one flew out and it turned over. So, okay. So this is a card. I made it about gifts, flowers, rings, perhaps receiving a gift of something, or a ring of engagement, or just a present of some kind. And it could be anything, a smile, a real tangible gift, or a lovely person comes back into your life. So I'm also going to create these using my dessert ideas. And so this is, so gift, flowers, rings. So you guys probably can't read that, but it says a table of cakes galore all around you. So an abundance of everything that you can imagine. So that's what I'm imagining. What we need to understand is we have all these gifts always available. There's a whole plethora, an abundance, a vast, infinite ability of things to help us understand, spiritual things that help us understand, ways, directions that we have available to us to deal, to manage and tolerate, and also feel strength, feel stronger. And it's a beautiful thing. God and Spirit is all around us. Your personal angels, your personal spirit guides, your beings, your ancestors are always there to talk to you. And it's like a giant table of desserts that is so luscious and lovely. So that's so lovely. I love that message for you guys and for me. All right. That's it for now. Take care. Till next time.